welcome to the Tiffany Mika podcast. What we do here is build the strength and courage in you to accomplish your big dreams and goals in your sport. No longer will you feel limited. You won't feel you're not good enough. You won't question whether you will make it, and those doubts will disappear because you will have the competitive edge over your opponents and you'll leave them in your wake. And the bonus is, others will notice. So listen up and take notes because I'll show you exactly how to do it. Hey there, Tiff here, and welcome to this episode. So what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be looking at the third quarter. So we're 3/4 of the way through the year. If you've been listening to my podcast show as well, the Tiffany Mika podcast show, I shared with you a halftime series, like a 4-part halftime series in how to accomplish your goals for the rest of this year. But what I want to do now is I want to show you a visual. And we want to be going through the last quarter of what we've just accomplished. I want you to analyse that first because then we're going to set up, in the next upcoming videos, we're going to set up some ways in which that you can then set your goals, okay, for the next quarter. So what I want you to be thinking about here, so here we are, right, you're here, or you were there, you are here, right, and that was at the beginning of July, okay, so we're in July here. Now we're talking about this last quarter because what I want you to do is we're going to evaluate, okay? So we're 3/4 time. So we're 3/4 of the way through our competition, aren't we? We're actually 3/4 of the way through the year. So there we are in July. Now here we are in end of September. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to establish, have we accomplished our goals for this last quarter, right? We're at 3/4 time, right? So what we do is we go back and we actually evaluate, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate, make sure I get the spelling right. We're going to evaluate the last quarter that we've just completed. Because in order for us to know where we want to go for the next quarter, we need to know where we've come from, okay? And I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. Okay, so let's look at it. We've got July. We've got August. And here up here, we've got September. Okay, so those are our 3 months. Now, what we want to actually do here is we actually want to look at, have we accomplished the goals that we've actually set for that time? So what I mean by that is I want you to be thinking about what were your goals that you had set in September, okay? So we had that quarter, and I want you to actually be aware of what were the goals for end of September. Right, so that was our three-month goal, wasn't it? Okay, 3 months. So what I want you to do here is I actually want you to write down what your actual goals were for the end of September. Okay, doesn't matter whether you've achieved them or not. What I want you to do is I want you to get really clear on what they were. Okay, I'm going to share with you what mine were, but I want you to be thinking of it from a sports point of view. I'm just going to share with you what mine are in the way in which I'm creating things in order to help you with your sport. So for me, I wanted to have my book published, right? I wanted to have I've got a Get Focused program coming out, so I wanted to have that ready. And then I'm also creating an academy called No Limits Academy. So I wanted to have that ready, okay? It's all designed to help you in where you want to go with your sport, right? So that was what I had to look at as my last 3 months. These were my 3 main goals, okay, of what I wanted to accomplish. Now, what I want you to be thinking about, though, is what were my goals at the end of September? What was it that I really wanted to accomplish? Because if you're not setting goals and you're not working towards your goals, we're going to have a problem achieving them, because we need to actually get them out in a visual space so that you can actually see this visually. And then also what we then do from that is that we can then make plans, okay? So the first thing was for us to work out was what was our goals for the last 3 months, okay? Then what we wanted to look at is then, okay, what were the goals that I actually achieved in July? So what were goals achieved in July? And what I want you to do here is I want you to write out all the goals that you achieved in July, because I want you to look back at what did I actually do? Because in order for us to really identify what happened up here, we need to know what the goals were achieved here. So what were the goals that you achieved in July? And then also what I want you to do, so that's number 1. But then number 2, what I want you to also identify is what didn't I achieve? Okay, so you need to ask that question as well. What didn't I achieve? And then we then go from there. So we've got what goals did I achieve? What goals didn't I achieve? And I want you to, for question 3 is how did I achieve those goals? So from question 1, how did I achieve those goals? Okay. And then question 4, what didn't work when I didn't achieve those goals? Oops, didn't achieve goals. Okay. So what we need to do here is we actually need to go back into each month. So you can see here, what I'm doing here for you is asking you the questions. We know what our ideal goals were for the end of September. What we need to now go back through, and let's have a look at each month, okay? Because in order for us to identify what worked and what didn't, and why we achieved these goals and why we didn't achieve these goals, we can analyse through what actually happened in the last few months, okay? So July, what goals did I achieve in July? What didn't I achieve in July? How did I achieve those goals? And then what didn't when I didn't achieve those goals? So what didn't work? We'll call that what didn't work when I didn't achieve those goals, because we need to identify what's going on. So that was in the month of July, okay? Then when we move to August, we've got to do the same thing. We've got to ask the same questions, because what may have happened here is some of the goals may have come together, some of them may have not. And it's not a bad thing if you're not achieving your goals in that month, because sometimes what happens is things take longer than we think they're going to take, okay? So we have to look at that. So then we look at the month of August, and then we're going to ask the same questions again, okay? What were the goals that I achieved in the month of August? Then what were the goals that I didn't achieve in the month of August? How did I achieve those goals? Okay, so the goals that actually worked, how did I achieve them? Write down all the detail. And then number 4, out of those goals that you didn't achieve, what goals didn't work and why didn't I achieve those goals? Okay, so that's for the month of August. Again, we want to write down all the detail, okay? Detail is everything, because we need to identify what's working, and we need to identify what's not working so that we can keep moving forward, okay? Then we do the same thing for September. So even though we know what our end goals are here for the end of this quarter, what we want to do is we still want to ask the same questions of what we asked in July and August. So in July, we asked those questions. August, we asked those questions. And now we're coming to September. We need to ask the same things, okay? So question 1, what were the goals that I achieved in September? Question 2, what were the goals that I didn't achieve in September? Question 3, how did I achieve those goals? So the ones that you did achieve, how did you do that? And question 4, the goals that I didn't achieve, why didn't I achieve those goals? Okay, that's a better question to ask than what I've just written here, okay? But we need to ask those questions, all right? So once we've identified what's been working, what hasn't been working, then we can actually look at the goals at the end of September. Not sure where we got up to, the camera dropped out. But anyway, what we want to make sure that we're doing is we want to look at then these goals that we've actually got at the end of September for the whole quarter, and then we've got to ask the question is, did I achieve them? All right, now what we want to do, we've looked at July, we've looked at August, and now we've looked at September, and we've asked the questions, what worked, what didn't work, how they worked, why didn't they work, what the goals were. Now what we need to do is, what we actually have to do is, what were the actual goals for the end of September? And what I mean by that was the end of our quarter. What were the actual goals? So as I shared with you, mine was having my book published, having the Get Focused program all ready so that I could show you how to get focused. And also the No Limits Academy, launched the No Limits Academy so that we've got no limits, we've got nothing holding us back. So those were my goals. Now what I want you to do is write down what your actual goals were, and then what we need to actually look at is, okay, did I achieve them? Okay, so question 1 is, did I achieve my quarterly goal? You may have just had 1. You may have had 2, you may have 3, 4. I tend to have 3 or 4. Some I achieve in that month, some in that quarter, some I don't. But what we want to look at is, did I achieve my quarterly goals? Okay, so we're looking at each one. I want you to itemise each goal. Did I achieve my quarterly goals? 2, I want you to write yes or no, okay, for each goal that you set. And then what I want you to do, for those ones that you said yes, I want you to write out, how did I achieve that goal? How did I achieve that goal? Okay. So I want you to do that for the ones that you've actually achieved. I want you to write out how you actually achieved them. And then number 4, I want you to write out for the goals that you've said no, that you haven't achieved, why didn't I achieve them, or it? Okay, so we need to make sure that we know why we didn't achieve them. You may have not spent enough time on them. You may have been too busy. You may not have scheduled them in. You may not have planned them out properly. It could take a lot longer for you to achieve them. And then what you have to do is then from that, this question number 5, what must I do next? What must I do next? Because what I want you to be thinking about is, for this one, is what must I do next, is everything that you've learnt from those last 4 questions and for this actual quarter is, well, what are my next steps? Okay, so my next steps are, I've got to prepare for this quarter. I may need to reset some of the same goals I had set for the last quarter because I haven't achieved them yet. I'm the same. So my book's not quite ready. It's ready for print, but it's not printed as of yet. My Get Focused program, I've decided to reshoot that, so it's I want to make sure it's a really good program for you. So again, that's not ready. The No Limits Academy, again, I want to make sure that the content is really, really good for you so that you're never feeling limited by anything or anyone. So I want to make sure that that's a really good program for you as well. So it's going to take me a bit longer to get those in order. And ideally, I wanted to have all that ready by the end of September, and it's not. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because some of our goals that we actually set do take a bit longer than what we anticipate, and that's okay. But what I want you to be thinking about is, what have I got to do next? Okay, I've got to reset my new goals. And that's what you'll be getting a few videos this week about goal setting and how to set things out so that you're working on accomplishing. But remember, all we're doing here is we're just evaluating actually what's going on. So if you want to really achieve what it is that you want to achieve, you don't want to be someone who just is casual and just rocks up and go, oh yeah, well, I'll just get on and I'll just do that. I've got a picture in my mind what I want to achieve and get on with it, and I'll just work hard. Because I've done that. I've done that in the past and it hasn't worked. I've worked really, really hard at certain things and I've got to a certain point, but I've always got stuck over the years when I was competing in my sport, and I was always really frustrated because I wasn't really sure what was missing. And you know what was missing? The fact that I actually didn't stop and actually look back and evaluate actually what was going on. What's working, what's not working, why isn't it working, how can I make it better, who do I need to talk to, what do I need to learn? We've got to be looking at all of those things. We've got to be thinking about all of those things in order for us to really get what we want out of what we want to achieve, okay? So first step for you this week, especially because we're in the first week of October, we're at the end of September, end of the quarter, we're at 3/4 time of the year, we're nearly there, not quite there, we've still got some big goals to accomplish, haven't we? So we want to make sure the first step is that we evaluate. I want you to do all of that work, answer all of those questions that I've shared with you in this video. You'll also hear this on the podcast show as well. So wherever you hear what I'm sharing with you, but I want you to make sure you answer all those questions, and then what we then want to do is then we want to start setting our goals. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love it if you could share me what you like best about what you heard today. If you've got friends that you know that would benefit from these episodes, I'd really appreciate too if you could share these episodes with your friends, because we want to build the reach and potential with TIFF community as big as you possibly can. And if you have just 30 seconds to spare, I'd really appreciate if you could share with me what you like best about what you heard today, what you like best about what you hear in the episodes that I share with you. I'd really appreciate that as well. So I hope you have an absolutely awesome day and dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Have an awesome day. Take care. Talk soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you haven't yet downloaded the #1 deadly mistake athletes make sure you go to Tiffany-Mika.com and download the #1 deadly mistake athletes make, because I don't want you to make that mistake. If you can also share with me what you like best about what you heard, where you hear this episode in the comments section. If you can also share with your friends that you know that would benefit from these episodes, and please leave a 5-star review where you hear these episodes, because I would really appreciate it. Dream big, believe in you, and go after your dreams. Have an awesome day.